All right, welcome back to the channel. Demetrius Andrade has an excellent fight last night against a tomato can. The most important or the most interesting thing that came out yesterday was that Demetrius Andrade, in an interview with Chris Mannix on Sports Illustrated and The Zone, admits that he turned down a Jermall Charlo fight on Showtime. Let's talk about Demetrius Andrade, the fight, and talk about the fight that should be made next for Demetrius Andrade, the Jermall Charlo fight, but dispel these rumors that it is Charlo that is solely responsible for this fight not happening, and Demetrius Andrade didn't play a major part in why we can't get this fight. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to Fanon International Boxing, and thank you guys for coming as usual. We're going to talk about Demetrius Andrade, Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade, who just had a fight with Luke Keebler, whatever, doesn't make a difference, man. He fought a tomato can in a ballroom, playing pretty much second fiddle to some YouTubers. And that is a great shame because Demetrius Andrade is a much better fighter than that, man. He's a much better fighter than that. And we need to see, and he deserves to be in the ring against fighters that are much better than Luke Keebler. Okay, Mr. Keebler was in there, literally got decked with the very first punch that Demetrius Andrade threw. That has got to be, if he hadn't got up, that would had to be the record. He tried to tie the fastest knockout ever. Walked right in, hit the guy with a straight right, I think he threw a pawing jab in with a straight right in his chin and knocked him down. The fight went several more rounds of pretty much Demetrius Andrade having zero respect for him and just turning into Joe Frazier, trying to drop bombs on him, slipping, man, he's a good fighter. Luke Keebler was trash. Luke Keebler was trash, and okay, I'm tired of it, man. Now it's time. Let's see Demetrius Andrade use those excellent skills in a fight with a guy that's a top level fighter. Unfortunately, The Zone and Eddie Hearn don't think highly enough of Demetrius Andrade to actually put him in there with the best fighters in that division. And quite honestly, he have at least two of the best fighters in that division on the Zone, but in Canelo Alvarez and Gennady Golovkin. But those are the guys that they put the most value on, so they're not about to throw them in there with a very skilled awkward southpaw who has decent pop on his punches. And very well could beat those guys and make them look bad in the process. So we are left hoping that Jermall Charlo and Demetrius Andrade can get a fight, but the problem between those two guys are that they're on different networks, right? So earlier this week, I believe it was Seconds Out, in an interview with Radio Raheem, Eddie Hearn pulled out his phone and showed the phone and was like, hey, see, I sent a note to Jermall Charlo and said we wanted to offer a fight for him to come to the Zone. We either we could have offered him a multi-fight deal, or we'd be happy to do it on a one-fight basis, right? Now, Eddie Hearn didn't get a response from Jermall Charlo on that. I do believe these things were dated around January and December, so it was, earlier this month. Didn't get a response from him on it. So people are like, oh, Jermall Charlo is ducking Demetrius Andrade. He turned down massive amounts of money to go to the Zone, right? Now we hear in this interview with Chris Mannix that Demetrius Andrade was before he went to the Zone, he was offered the Jermall Charlo fight by Showtime. And he said, I didn't want to take the fight or sign the deal because, after I fought Jermall Charlo or the Charlo brothers, who was I going to fight after that? So, I decided not to do it. Okay. Now, you can listen to the justification for not doing it that Demetrius Andrade gave. Who was I going to fight after that, right? So just going over there to be able to fight one guy, but there's not other guys to fight, I decided not to do that. Okay, you can take his explanation, but the fact remains, his explanation is one thing. The fact that he refused an offer to fight Jermall Charlo is still there. So you have a case between the two of Jermall Charlo being offered something where Eddie Hearn says Jermall Charlo was offered something. And note, he sent this to Jermall Charlo. He did not send it to Jermall Charlo's advisor or manager in Al Heyman. He didn't send it to the people that he knows, or he should reasonably, people you would believe would be responsible for setting up fights and setting up fights and contractual arrangements for Jermall Charlo. So you have Showtime talking directly with Demetrius Andrade, and you have Eddie Hearn talking to Jermall Charlo, but talking to Jermall Charlo and promising him about an offer he will make, knowing full well he's not actually talking to those guys' team. So it doesn't seem like it is one guy that is not making this fight happen. It seems as if it is the desire of one fighter or the other to deal with a network. Showtime and Demetrius Andrade fell apart because Demetrius Andrade didn't want to fight for the network because they didn't believe the network had enough to offer him. Jermall Charlo, we don't know whether he turned down that deal or not. We don't know if Eddie Hearn actually ever sent one, right? Because he actually sent a formal one. But we do know this. We know that Eddie Hearn did not talk to the people who advised Demetrius Andrade. So it's not I don't believe it's a case where either one of these guys are saying, no, I don't want the fight. Even though I will say, I do believe that the trainer, Ronnie Shields, for Jermall Charlo said, why do you want to make that? What do you get out of fighting Demetrius Andrade? Well, you get, and I put out videos about that. I really was not happy when I heard that, right? But I mean, I understand his point, right? Me as a boxing fan, I want to see the fight because that's something where, you know, I can look forward to it the whole week before the fight, right? Oh, Jermall, who's going to win? You go back and forth with the conversations of who's better than who, right? All of that type of stuff. But Demetrius Andrade is not the biggest draw in the world. And that is because of choices that Demetrius Andrade makes, man. Demetrius Andrade, to me, just seems to be, you know, a different type of guy, man. Obviously, he's a different type of guy if you check out the clothes that he wears, but he's just a different type of guy, man. He's not somebody that is just gonna, if it seems like this is the right way to go and all logic points you this way, Demetrius Andrade is the type of guy to like, nah, you know, I don't really feel that. Let me go over that way and see if I can just do something different, man. I hope this fight happens. I don't see this fight happening unless the zone pulls up shop, which, I mean, that would be too much like right for that to happen. And why for now would you, they give us so many great fights. They give us, man, these dudes do, the zone gives you a lot of fights. That's for sure. A lot of fights, and I ain't particularly interested in to see. Every once in a while, they'll have a fight that turns out to be good. This card this week is an example of something that was pretty decent. Got to see Danny Roman lose, and I'm happy that I don't say I'm happy that Danny Roman lost, but you know, he's holding Guillermo Rigondeaux's belt. So now, so that's the WBA super champ. That's the WBA super 122-pound title. That was Guillermo Rigondeaux's, man. Guillermo Rigondeaux didn't lose that in the ring. He got it snatched by the WBA because he had to go up to 135 pounds and fight Lomachenko. And if he lost that fight, he loses his belt. That's just some nonsense. Danny Roman should have never had it until, nobody should have had that belt until they beat Guillermo Rigondeaux to get that belt. So anyway, I was like, yeah. Now the other upset, I don't even know why people think this is an upset. Tevin Farmer, man, I said this shit was gonna happen. Said it was gonna happen. Tevin Farmer was gonna lose to Jojo Diaz, man. You can see that miles. You can see that miles and miles and miles away. If you don't believe me, go check out the video that I did that says Gervonta Davis Tevin Farmer clowns Gervonta Davis, but may lose his belt to JoJo Diaz, right? And that's exactly what happens. But so that was a pretty decent card, man. But stuck in the middle, stuck on Thursday night. I got to get up and work in the morning. And they stuck that stupid YouTube fight in the middle of that. Stupid, waste of time, go nowhere ass YouTube fights that don't mean anything in the grand scheme of things, grand scheme of boxing. Sit that in between Tevin Farmer, JoJo Diaz, and Demetrius Andrade and Mr. Keebler. Anyway, it is what it is. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out.